Good morning. Welcome to the webinar on Appreciative Leadership. Nice to have you on board. The objective we have in mind is providing you with an image of Appreciative Inquiry and of Appreciative Leadership, what it is and how you can do it. We hope that you can make use of some of the insights tomorrow in your work or in your daily life, which will have an impact on yourself, the people you work with, and the organization as a whole. I'm facilitating this webinar together with Marika.
Yes, that's me. Let me introduce myself, Marika Haker. My background is in social psychology, and I'm a trainer and facilitator ever since. I think 2 years ago, I came in contact with Appreciative Inquiry, and then after that, I try to integrate it in everything I do, in my work, but also in my family life, and that's the most challenging part.
My name is Annelieke Jensen. I'm a social psychology by background as well and holding an MSc in coaching. The beauty of AI for me lies in the alignment with coaching's fundamental principle, the ultimate belief in the other's potential. And I think it connects with my optimism and believing in the positive side of things.
Okay, before we really get starting, I'd like to invite you to take a deep breath and to relax and put your feet steady on the ground, sit straight, and slowly breathe in and breathe out. And I'd like to invite you to think about something you did last week that made yourself really proud, something that you really enjoyed. Take some time to reflect on this. If you prefer, you can take some time to write it down. What is the impact of the questions I just asked you? Just think about that for a moment. This is already an example of an appreciative inquiry or an AI intervention. Imagine how often we start a meeting of a course with what you find difficult instead of focusing on the positive.
To manage expectations for this webinar and to give yourself an objective, what you would like to get out of the following 30 minutes around, what would give you a big smile on your face at the end of this webinar? What would really please you to have in your shopping bag when we're finished? Give it a thought.
Okay, I hope you find some nice things. I will shortly explain to you what we're going to do, our roadmap for this webinar. We will start with what is appreciative inquiry. After that, we go through the principles and appreciative leadership, what's that? And we go through some leadership strategies. So that's the outline.
So I suggest let's get started and tell you more about what appreciative inquiry is. So let's first have a look at, on the words appreciative inquiry. I remember that I found them pretty confusing the first time I heard those. So what's the connotation for you with the words appreciative? What words come up with you if you think about the word appreciative? The words I come across in trainings is that it connects with words like positive, acknowledgement, recognition. And I think there's something interesting about this word appreciative because the verb to appreciate carries a double meaning. It refers on one hand to the act of recognition and on the other end on enhancing value. Now let's have a look at inquiry. what comes up when you think about the word inquiry? What I do often hear from others that it connects with words like curiosity, studying, asking questions, trying to understand, to be really interested. And I think just those explanations tells you already a lot about what appreciative inquiry is.
Just let's take a look at what we are used to do at the traditional organizational development, or how we tackle a problem. With that traditional view, we start mostly by identifying the issues or the problem. And then we are going to analyze what causes it. And often that goes with blaming others on the way. After that, we generate a solution, and mostly there's one best solution, and mostly that's the one of the boss or the consultant. And at the end, we delegate the actions to the others. And the picture underneath resembles the process and the consequences. Change means a lot of hard work, negative energy, and dealing with loads of resistance and giving you a headache at the end.
As you notice, we try to make the difference as sharp as possible. So let's have a look what appreciative inquiry does. And imagine you would like to have effective communication in place in your organization. That's your objective. And what appreciative inquiry would do is find out all the strengths and positive stories within the individual of the organization, within all the teams and the organization with regards to effective communication. The next step, what appreciative inquiry does, is okay, imagine a future, what a future would look like when effective communication is in place everywhere, in every corner of our organization. It's really about dreaming the ultimate wish. Um, Next step is renew what needs to be renewed. Here you study the gaps between the now and the dream you've just described and figure out a wealth of possibilities that are already within the organization to build this future. The last step in appreciative inquiry is actually divide the list of action, what has been figured out in the previous step, and let individuals choose the action they feel energized by or is in line with their strengths. So nobody's forced to take something on board, but they decide their own commitment and their own next step. And the picture for me resembles the energy to move forward. This gate is not a hurdle, it's just the fun factor.
So another way to look at it is here you see again those two next to each other. The traditional way is define the immediate problem, and appreciative is search for solutions that already exist, that are already there. The traditional way is fix what is broken, and the appreciative way is amplify what is working, multiply that. The traditional way is focus on decay, on what is missing, and the appreciative way is focus on life-giving forces, on growth, on what gives energy. The traditional way is what problems are we having here? The appreciative way is what is working well. The next one is learning from mistakes. That's empirical, that's the traditional way. And the appreciative way is looking into and learning from what works. And the last one, traditional ways tend to end in who's to blame, and appreciative in who to affirm.
Personally, I think the last one is a really interesting one. Um, you could say that the slide you're watching right now is a sort of definition what a appreciative inquiry is. It's a change management approach and philosophy, but it also has tools and methodologies. It differs from traditional problem-oriented approaches because it focuses on what works and it's future-oriented. It's based on real experience of people because they tell you what's been going on so far and what worked really well so far. The key elements is dialogue, is language, and is the realization that organizations are much more than just a construct and a plant. It's a story. And I would like to add a little bit on, or tell a little bit about one of the founders who is perceived as the main influencer on Appreciative Inquiry, and that has been David Cooperrider. We're talking here about the early 80s. And he was inspired by his wife Nancy, an art teacher, who was teaching her students to see the beauty in art. And he realized that he was studying the dirt of organizations in his OD work, and he was not seeing the beauty at all. And furthermore, he realized, working on his PhD, that asking questions around what work provides so much more energy than neutral questions like, what's going on here? And I think this asking questions became one of his principles, one of the first principles of appreciative inquiry. Let's have a look at all 5 of them, describing the philosophy of appreciative inquiry and providing the basis for all the tools and techniques.
Okay, here you can see all 5 principles or assumptions in one picture. There's the positive principle, which Annelieke told you about just 1 minute ago with David Cooperrider. You have the constructionist principle, the poetic principle, simulteinity principle, and the anticipatory principle. And we will now go through them one by one.
Yeah, as non-natives, they're pretty hard to pronounce, so bear with us. The first one, just to go over it another time, the positive principle. Positive questions lead to positive change. Positive questions amplify the positive core of a human being, of a team, or of an organization. Positive questions broaden thinking and opens up your mind. Neuroscientific knowledge starts to support this as well. And the sunflower you see in the picture, for me, means that what gets sunlight and water will grow. If you focus on the positive, the positives will grow. If you focus on the negative will grow. So that was about the positive principle.
The next principle is the constructionist principle, and that's about that we see the things as we are, and that words create worlds, and that there is no such thing as an objective reality. Reality is constructed through how we talk to each other and in language. And you can see the apple as an image for this principle. Just look at this side and you see a red one, but someone who's looking at the other side will maybe see a yellow or a green one. So there's no such thing as objective reality. It's how we talk about it that creates the reality, which is right there at that moment for both of us.
Let's go to the poetic principle. This connects with what we said before, that the organization is more than a plant, it's more than a construct, it's a story. And stories are powerful and stories are rich. And the story of an organization is a co-creative process. We create our own stories as individuals, but also as teams and the organization as a whole. And I would like to share some work we did with a merger from 2 companies, where it's turned out to be really powerful to share the 2 stories of the 2 companies. And that was a start to create a new collective one, which was a basis to for collaboration in the future.
The principle of simultaneity, I hope I pronounce it well, is about that the change begins with the first question you ask. So it's a simultaneous. Yeah, the process is simultaneous, and the questions you ask influences the group or the organization in some way. So it's very important to think about what question you ask. And think about the introduction question we asked you. And now think about something you did last week that made you really proud of yourself. We started the intervention right there, and hopefully it changed already something.
Okay. Anticipatory principle, another difficult word. Positive images create positive futures. Vision is faithful. What you vision will happen. Create vision before decision. I think this is about what you expect from the future will focus your attention and will move you towards it. You could, as an example, think about the Pygmalion effect. This research where children with the same intellectual capabilities were presented to teachers as different in capabilities. So you had the smarter one and the less smarter ones. And it happens as they were presented. So in the end, the clever ones that were presented as clever ones turned out to be cleverer, and the less clever one turned out to be less clever. So the future was shaped by the attention we gave into it.
That's long. Okay, we've talked about appreciative inquiry and the principles underlying it. And now we move forward to appreciative leadership. And appreciative leadership is actually nothing more than embracing the AI principles. And as Joep de Jong stated it, Joep de Jong is a well known AI specialist in the Netherlands. He stated, just do it. Use AI and use it all the time. When there's something to celebrate or with an appraisal, but also when you have difficulties, when you have to fire someone, for example. And here in this slide, you can see some of appreciative leadership strategies you can use. And I will say them loud now. There's inquiry, and that's ask positively powerful questions. That's about the positive principle. Illumination, bring out the best of people and situations. So shine a light on someone, on the strengths. Inclusion is about engage with people to co-author the future and let people feel welcome and warm. Inspiration is about awakening the creative spirit, and integrity is make choices for the good of the whole.
Okay, let's look a bit more deeper in one by one. So, if we talk about the strategy of inquiry, which you can use as an appreciative leader, realize that it's about being really curious and interested in others and what's going on. So, it's about ask more and tell less. If we were meant to talk more and listen less, we would have two mouths and one ear. That's what Mark Twain once stated. Uh, Another thing you could do is practice the flip. And for me, it's about being very sensitive for the words people use and the words you use. So it's about flipping negatives to positives. So we don't talk about what you do not want, but what you do want, moving towards the positive instead of moving away from the negative. And let's practice this. So I'm challenging you here. Think about something which is bothering you right now at the moment, something you would like to move forward. Just write it down, think about it, and reflect on how you actually phrased what is bothering you at the moment. So look at the words you used. Now flip the coin. Is it actually described in terms you would like to achieve? Is it described in something you will what you would like to have in the future? If not, try to reframe it in a positive, affirmative way. I'll show you examples about flipping the coin. In the first example, it's not uncommon that people tell you, I would like to have less work pressure. And here it's where what I said before, where you can be sensitive to words. So you could ask, okay, it's clear to me what you do not want, but what is it what you do want? And it could, for example, sound like, I would like to enjoy my work better. Another example is that you can notice somebody criticizing the team. And instead of exploring what his criticism is about, you could ask the same individual what it is that he really wants or what would work for him or for her. Again, helping them to reflect on the positive instead of the negative, because what you water will grow.
Okay, here you could see what the impact is of inquiry. When it's done, it builds relationships and foster collaboration, and it builds bridges, yes, as you can see in this picture. Um, I would like to share something with you because I just heard that our proposal for a governmental organization was accepted, and I just asked for the reason why choosing for us. And the reason they gave us was because of the number of questions we asked. They really liked us wanting to grasp what it is, what they needed, what it was, what makes them flourish. And so that's an example of the impact of inquiry.
I already moved to the next one, and it's about illumination. And this is about seeing and valuing people's ideas, skills, and aspiration, seeing and appreciating the best in people. Um, it starts in a way with the first one, how you see and talk to yourself, because that are the classes you're wearing through which you also look to somebody else. So if you want to value others, start with valuing and appreciating yourself. Um, with strength spotting, what we try to say here, what it means is it helps people to understand how they fit in the big picture. What are their strengths? What is demanded from their job description? And how does that match to the business results? Appreciative check-in for a team. Start a meeting or get together with an appreciative check-in. As easy as that. You can do it tomorrow. That is, ask everyone to share a story about a success they recently had or a celebration they celebrated before you go into the content of your meeting. This makes people start with energy, and it helps even to get to know each other better and to bond with each other. And it's good for our brains. It literally opens them. The last one, by looking at the root cause of success, you send out the message that you're interested in celebrating and that you're keen on learning from successes and not keen on blaming. It shines a light on what's the positive core of an organization, a team, or a person. So this was about the strategy for illumination, which you can act on in your leadership. Let's go to the next one.
The next one is inclusion. I already said it. It gives people a sense of belonging. It's about that everyone matters. And here you can see some things you can do. The first one is expand your inner dialogue, because how do you listen to or acknowledge your own inner dialogue? What kind of information do you listen for as you make a decision? Do you listen as much to your guts as to your rational information, or is it different? And how is that when you're listening to someone else in your company or to someone else, just your friends? Just think about it. The second one is involve all stakeholders. Um, and it's the next three are actually about involving everyone whose future it is about. Um, just not only with some people, but everyone. Everyone that's important for this part, and making sure that every voice is heard and is equally important. So, level the playing ground is about letting every voice heard. And one example is for the military department, when there's a meeting, that everyone is without uniform. So that's not too difficult to see. So it's difficult to see uh, um, who has which stripe, and everyone is equal. Okay, the last one, connect improbable pairs, is about facilitating the ones who don't really easy talk to each other to talk to each other. And that could be very easy by inviting them to do so. So in our business, we ask people at the beginning, just look for someone you're not knowing very well already, or you are really interested in to know better, to facilitate this one. So this is the inclusion.
So those were the strategies for appreciative leadership. I noticed that I forgot the last one, which is all about inspiration. And that's about providing people with a sense of direction by talk story and let people share story. And I think for me, more importantly, be generous with appreciation. I'm not sure from which cultural background you are yourself. The Dutch in general are not very generous with appreciation. We don't give each other lots of compliments. Inspiration is about be generous with compliments, share hope, share dreams, and the power of dreaming together. Which brings us to really the end of the strategies you can do to embrace appreciative inquiry as leader. And the question we often hear is, what about the negative? What about the problems teams or people or organization are facing? And what I would like to say about that is that appreciative inquiry is not about denying the negative, is not about not seeing the things that don't go well, but it builds the foundation and the energy to enable to look into the negative and see the negative as as information. So you look at what there is, the positive and the negative, and you provide it provides you with a choose where to focus on. That I thought was important to talk about at the end of our webinar.
Yeah, so let's go back to you, because you've heard something more about AI, about appreciative inquiry and the principles underlying it, and something about leadership strategies about AI. So we would like to ask you to reflect and to think about what stands out for you. What gave you energy in this webinar? And what you will do or can do tomorrow. What can you do differently? And what will it bring you and others when you do that differently? So reflect on that for just a moment. And then we're really at the end of this webinar, and we hope that this webinar gave you an image of AI and AI leadership. And we hope that it provides you with lots of energy and inspiration, and we like to thank you for taking part.
Yes. If you would, for any reasons, would like to contact us or to talk about more about appreciative inquiry and appreciative leadership, please feel free. Underneath, you can find our email addresses. Thank you for being with us. And I hope you have enjoyed this webinar. Or we hope you have enjoyed this webinar. And you might enjoy some other webinars which will follow this week in our virtual leadership summit. Thank you very much.